Hey there, I'm Kimberly, ADHD mom of 3, entrepreneur, and your guide to the beautiful, messy journey of life. If you're a busy mom juggling it all, a woman in business trying to make it work, or just a woman looking for a space to grow and thrive, you're in the right place. This is the podcast where imperfection is celebrated and authentically is everything. Let's get started. Hello, welcome back to Amazing Beautiful You. I am Kimberly Gonzalez. I am your lovely host, a little silly, goofy ADHD mom, pets, you name it. I'm getting more chicks, adding to my chick clan. They should be here tomorrow, so I'm excited to get that ready. So you guys will know me. I'm like a chaotic mess, but still put together. So thank you for joining me and joining me with all my craziness and my mistakes and love and just direction and wisdom. So I appreciate it. If you've not jumped on the bandwagon, please make sure that you go to my social medias that I have, which is YouTube and Insta and Facebook, and be sure to find Amazing Beautiful You podcast on it and like and share and subscribe. The more you share and subscribe, the more I grow, the more I'm able to help others and bless other people that come into my life. And I love meeting new people. But today we're going to talk about one of the things that I was so funny because my last podcast, I was talking about how Mark and I needed to get away to just get a break. And we decided to go camping. Well, camping for us, we love to camp. Let me just tell you, I love to go camping, but camping does not always work out in our favor. I should probably be used to it just by now, just us attempting to try to camp, but we rough it. So it's not just like, glamping. It's not that. Like, we do hardcore camping. And so I was journaling about this and I said, this would make a great podcast. So today's podcast is laughing at chaos and disasters. And I've got my journal because I'm following along with my journal. And so we went to, one of the things that we did is for my daughter, she graduated this year and I'm so proud of her. She graduated high school. And one of the things that we wanted to do was to have an experience with our daughter. Not just something that is bought that you buy. We wanted an experience that she can be with us and have it in memories for forever. And so we saved up for, saved up for about 7 months for these tickets. And we got Coldplay concert tickets for her. My mother-in-law, she loved Coldplay. It was one of her bands that she just absolutely loved. So it was kind of, important for us to be there with her too in spirit. She just loved Coldplay. So we had a Coldplay concert that evening and we were there from 5 till almost 11. And we left a little early because my back was pretty much killing me because you stood the whole time. And so we were exhausted. So the time that we got home and we still had to pack everything because it was just crazy between trying to get, stuff set up, everything. It was just nuts. Like, it was just one of those days that we were racing to get stuff together. So, and when we hardcore camp, just, we don't use a stovetop. I literally will find a flat rock and make, around rocks and then put the fire and then get a rock and clean it, like a flat rock and clean it. And I will cook on that rock, like my pans, I'll put my pans on it. So I hardcore camp. I do not bring a stove. It just doesn't, we try to minimize. So we decided to, Lauren, she is one of my amazing gals here that helps out. She's like, go to South Dakota, it'll be great. We're like, okay. So we decided to go to South Dakota. We've never been to South Dakota. I want to say we drove through it once to go see the National Monument. But after that, it was like, we didn't really stay. I think our last South Dakota camping thing was kind of a disaster too, but we're like, hey, you know what? We'll give it a shot again. So we drove 5.5 hours to South Dakota. Little did we know that this trip was going to have some crazy twists and turns. We arrived at what we thought was going to be our spot. We were told, like, okay, this is where you go. This is how you get there. And we literally, we brought our 3 dogs. We had our 3 Goldens with us, and we were told that, they can be off leash in this area, that they can run around, because that's what my Goldens love to do. They love to run and explore. And of course, if they find water, they will find it, and you will know that they have been in water. Um, so we were so excited. We're like, okay, this is a beautiful spot. There's some people that are still close to us, which is okay. They're a little ways, but not enough for the dogs to bother them. So we start unpacking. We pull up, we start unpacking, and it said reserved. And I was like, okay, well, I remember Lauren saying something like, we don't have to pay if it's up to 14 days. So I don't think we have to worry about that. So we got our tent set up and we got our chairs out, and we're trying to bring our stuff in, and like for the tent. And this lady comes up to my husband, and she looks less than thrilled, you guys, like not thrilled at all. And, of course, the dogs are all greeting her. They're excited, and she didn't like being touched and stuff, which I get. Some people don't like that, but, it was just, I could tell that she was already grumpy. So my husband was like, honey, I need you to come here and I'll take the dogs. And so he took the dogs to where the van was at, not van, I'm sorry, where our SUV was. Oh my gosh, van. To our SUV, my SUV. And I went and talked to the lady, and she's like, well, you need a national park pass. I'm like, okay, yeah, we have a national park pass. We got it from when, because Mark's military. So we got an unlimited pass, so it never expires. And she goes, no, unfortunately, we only take the senior ones and not military. And we're like, that's strange. Okay. So we thought that was weird, but okay, whatever. So then she's like, well, then it'll be $24 a night. And then there's a $2 per fee per dog. So 24, that's 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, that's $30 a night. So, and Mark and I, we try to go camping, and we try to find places that we don't have to pay, because we're trying to keep our expenses down and still have fun. So the fact that it'd be $30 a day, we just did not want to do that. And she's like, they have to be on leashes. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you're going to leash up 3 golden retrievers who love to explore, and just going to be chained up. That's not what we wanted. So we're like, nope, not what we wanted. So we packed up everything. So we took the tent down, and by now it's like getting dark. It's starting to get a little dark. And so we're trying to throw the tent in there. We didn't even finish folding it up and putting it back. We threw it in the back, and we threw everything else, the chairs. We just kind of piled everything in the back. The poor dogs were squished because we had bought, like, we had this camper thing that goes on the top of the Subaru, like a little thing that you could pack stuff in it. And at this point, we were just trying to hurry up because we knew that it was going to get dark soon. So we drove around, you guys. We drove around for a long time, for about an hour. We drove around into, the top of the mountain, and you could tell there was fires there at one time because there wasn't a lot, and you really could not find. As we're driving around, we're starting to think, this is weird, because in Colorado, they have like, rocks that are a circle for the fire, that you can have like your fire ring, but it's made with rocks. And so the lady had told us, she's like, just so you know, you have to have a metal fire ring when you're camping now. And so we looked around for metal fire rings all around that area, and we could not find one thing. What she didn't tell us, though, was, yeah, that you couldn't even have that. You had to have a metal fire ring. And so, yeah, we couldn't find metal fire rings. No spots. By the time that it was like getting dark, we hadn't eaten, you guys, all day. So we didn't have breakfast, we didn't have lunch, and here it was dinner. And so we were starving. All we had, I take that back, all we did, we stopped for, I had like turkey sticks and like a few chips, and that was it. And I don't think I even ate turkey sticks. And so we found this field, and, it was like, the road was there, but it was like way off to the field. And then it was next to a creek. So we're like, let's just do this. We're tired. We were so exhausted at this point, and it was getting dark. Like, it was almost pitch black. And so we literally probably had about 5 minutes to set up. That's how quick it was. So we should, like, I think it was, by then it was like 9 o'clock at night. So we took the headlights of the car and we put it, on the field where we were going to set up our tent. So we got our tent set up. And as we're getting our tent set up, we're pretty much done setting up the tent. And we put the little rain thing on, and it starts pouring down rain. So here we are, we're trying our best to get our stuff inside the tent. We're trying to get our cooler because we hadn't eaten, and it is pouring down, you guys. I'm not talking about like a sprinkles. The rain was like pouring down hard. And so we get of course, the dogs are wet. So I'm like, Mark, get towels. We need towels. And we brought towels. And so I'm getting the spot set up for the towels, for the dogs to come in and lay down, and got our sleeping bag ready and our thing. And we're like, close up, we zipper it up, and we get in there and we're both wet. And we're just laughing because this is how our evening and our trip was going so far. And the dogs got situated and it smelled like wet dog in our tent, but oh well, we were at this point, we were starving. So we made a sandwich, but we realized that we didn't have any mustard or mayonnaise. I take it back, we did have mustard. We didn't have any mayonnaise. So our sandwiches literally were a piece of bread that was smashed from us putting stuff in, and a little piece of like lunch meat and some mustard. And that was like our dinner. So we went to sleep, and we put the rest of the stuff in the cooler and snacks. And then I'm laying there, I'm like, honey, we probably should put this stuff in the car because there's bears out here. I'm sure there's bears. And we were so tired at this point. It was still pouring down rain. We just said, whatever. So we didn't even do that. At that point, we were just like leaving everything in the tent. And so we, decided, okay, we're just gonna, rough it out. So at this point, the rain was really coming down, like hard, even harder than what it was. I thought, great, are we going to be floating away at this point, with our tent? And we were on a pretty high ground. So and where we were at, I've never heard of flooding. So, and we're really cautious with a lot of things. And so we had like set up we were in our tent, and the walls, the way the rain was coming in, so the way our tent cover is that it covered the top and just like a little part of the sides, but it didn't cover the full sides of the tent. So here it is pouring down rain on all these different sides, and our stuff is getting wet. Like our pillows are getting wet, and our stuff was just getting wet. So the tent obviously was not waterproof, like it said it was, and on top of having the little rain thing, the rain was coming in on the sides. So the next morning we woke up and things were sopping wet. Some things were really wet, and other things, we had packed away. So we decided, what, let's go look for a different place, because this is not where, I want to be. We wanted to be more in the woods area. And we wanted to find a fire ring so we can actually cook some food. And so we drove up a couple towns north, because we weren't finding anything in this area that we were at. And like I said, we couldn't figure out why there was no fire rings around. So we decided to drive up north to Spearfish, and there's a Boomgar. So I said, hey, I wanted to ask about what's going on with the fire. Well, I guess there was a fire ban, and anything that you had to be at a designated camping spot. So these places that you have to pay, that's where you could have a fire. And we didn't know that. So then we ended up going to Walmart, and we ended up getting a camping stove. We're like, okay, let's get a camping stove. You guys are going to laugh at this whole episode because everything that had happened was just a disaster. And I just laugh at it because that's what else can you do? So we went and got a camping stove, and we drove all the way back to that grass spot because we're like, okay, well, there's no other places. So luckily that spot wasn't taken. Well, what we didn't know that was the road right there next to that spot, we're still a ways away, is apparently it's quad or four-wheel, like, I don't know what they're called. Like they're for, what are they called? Oh, side-by-sides. Apparently it's really popular up in that area for side-by-sides. So all day long, like from the early morning till late at night, you hear these quads, and like they had their music playing and their lights going, like it's a whole thing, you guys. So we reset up the tent, and we set up our little stove and our chairs, and we we're just like, okay, we're gonna just do this. We're gonna try to make it work. And so we by then, we're like, okay, let's get some, we come back, and we decided just to roast some marshmallows just to try to make the most of this. So we roasted marshmallows on a tiny little itty bitty stove, and we're squatting down because there's literally no rocks around us. So the stove is on the ground, and we're literally squatting trying to roast marshmallows. It was hilarious. The next day we had gotten some waterproof spray. So what we did is we sprayed down our tent, like all of it, every single part into our tent. We sprayed it down for the waterproof spray, to keep it waterproof. And then here I am, I'm trying to make eggs and potatoes, so I've got the eggs and I've got potatoes that I got, and I'm trying to cook them in this, squatting position and trying to cook. And all of a sudden, we start hearing buzzing, like crazy buzzing everywhere. All of a sudden, every fly in the universe decided to come join us for breakfast. And these flies, guys, were not like these little tiny flies. These flies were huge, scary, freaking flies. Like these were not even, I don't even know what they were. They were scary looking. And I'm like, quickly grabbed all the potatoes and the eggs and threw them on the plates and closed the stove and like turned it off. And then when I ran, we had to run in the tent because no joke, these things started surrounding us. Like I thought we were going to be eaten by flies. If anybody's seen the movie The Fly, you'll understand. It's like it brings you back nightmares. And I know that's a really, 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 really old movie, but when you're my age and you understand, you've watched these things, and my husband's made me watch it a couple times. It kind of reminds me of that, but a whole swarm of flies. And these things were huge. And so we jumped in our tent and zipped it up as quick as we could, got the dogs in there. And as I look up, we have the opening of the tent. It's open because I wanted to air out the tent from the prior rain. And so there is flies that are circling our tent. You could see them circling our tent. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is something out of like just out of a movie that you would see. And so my husband and I, we could have been fighting and arguing about this, and we just kind of hugged each other and we just laughed because this is something we're never going to forget for our camping experience. And, I think that, in any situation, so if you're stuck in a car and you're in traffic and, any situation that you're at that is starting to be stressful and things aren't going right, and it's chaotic, you need to stop and pause and just kind of laugh at the situation. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. This is how it is. And you laugh at situations like that. Like at this point, we had to laugh. Like our whole camping trip was a disaster. And then we had to leave right up from we had to wake up early, pack up our stuff, and then we had to drive to Denver Airport. So we literally were home for an hour and then drove to Denver Airport to go pick up our niece. So we were back in the car. But, we just kind of laughed at this whole situation because it seems like our camping trips are always like this, and they're weird and they're never relaxing. But we still enjoy it. So look at different situations that comes into play in your life. And if there's chaos or things aren't working out right, just stop and just start laughing, because there's nothing you could do. You can get mad, you can get upset, and you just have to laugh at situations because these things come and they happen. So, but that was my little short podcast for today. I was just trying to laugh at the chaotic things that we have in our life and just laugh at those and appreciate those things. And what was your little lesson behind the laughing at the chaos? So, but I hope you guys have a great day, and be sure to tune in to my next podcast. Have a wonderful day. Make sure to like, share, spread the word about my podcast. Have a wonderful day. Bye.